Good morning, everybody. I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, for many months, I've been having a very hard time deciding when to talk about this episode because I've wanted it to be a very special blog to dedicate to my two favorite aunts, despite the fact that they haven't been in touch with my family lately since the whole pandemic started. But anyway, today we're going to look at a Whiz Bang episode where Princess Sofia is introduced to her aunt, Duchess Matilda. So, airing on television on October 25th, 2013, this is Great Aunt Venture. In this episode, Princess Sofia spends the day with her Aunt Tilly as she goes about making her famous apple pies. The two go to fetch the most delicious apples at the Arabella Apple Orchard, only for them to be stolen by a wombeast. When they find the wombeast in the horrid hills, Sofia discovers he was just simply hungry. Wilbur the wombeast gives back the basket of apples, and Sofia invites him for dinner. So, my thoughts? Well, in my opinion, this episode was whiz bang. And to further explain why I love this episode, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, the moral of this episode is the proof is in the pudding, which means you had to try out food in order to know whether it was good. As for the animation, well, as usual, the CGI animation by Toei is excellent, and I really like the journey that Sofia and Tilly take while on the way to the Arabella Apple Orchard. And during the adventure, the duo travel through the Melodious Meadow, which is a huge meadow of tall sunflowers, and they go across the gargantuan gorge after helping a giant get a thorn bush unstuck from his foot. Which kind of makes me think of the first Friendship is Magic episode, where Stephen Magnet helps the main six across the Everfree Forest River in return for Rarity sacrificing her tail to give him a new mustache. And now let's talk about the song featured in this episode, Recipe for Adventure, sung by Sofia and Tilly. This song is where Aunt Tilly teaches Sofia not to give up, and she influences her to use her thinking cap in order to get their stolen apples back. In my eyes, this is another one of my favorite songs in Sofia's first season, and sometimes whenever I listen to it, I can't help but smile and sing along. And that's all I got from Mustang notes. So let's move on to the characters and the voice actors. Princess Sofia is voiced again by Ariel Winter, whom has been a young Kyrie in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Marina in Jake and the Neverland Pirates, young Trixie in Speed Racer, Penny Peterson in Mr. Peabody and Sherman, and Smurf Lily in Smurfs the Lost Village. Now, this episode is the second time where Sofia becomes a supporting assistant. The last time was during Cedric's Apprentice. Anyway, in my opinion, I like that Sofia volunteers to be Tilly's little helper when her siblings, Amber and James, run away to a carnival. Plus, I agree with Tilly that Sofia has what it takes to be a great adventurer, like when she uses her thinking cap to get through the flower maze, bravely faced a giant, and convinced him to help them across the gorge. Next up, we have her aunt, Duchess Matilda, or Tilly for short, voiced by the delightful Bonnie Hunt, whom has been in a few Pixar movies, including Cheaper by the Dozen, Jumanji, and Zootopia. Now, as I said in my blog of the Secret Library back in 2015, Tilly has got to be one of my favorite characters in Sofia's show. She has the magic ability of Mary Poppins and the personality of Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. Plus, I think Tilly's Locus Pocus map is kind of similar to the map from Dora the Explorer. Also, I think Bonnie Hunt's performance makes Tilly a very whimsical and optimistic character. Also, I found it pretty interesting that Tilly used to be one of the Amulet of Avalar's previous wearers, and she somehow knows about the Mystic Isles. Kind of like how Jodie Benson knows about my hometown of Mission Viejo, California. Finally, we come to Wilbur the Wombeast, voiced by veteran voice actor Corey Burton. This character lives in the horrid hills. On the outside, He may look scary and vicious, but on the inside, he's a pretty clumsy and yet lonely critter who has no family, and he loves apples. In my eyes, while it was pretty rude when he stole the apples from Sofia and Tilly, I found it pretty sweet when Sofia befriends Wilbur and when she and Tilly secretly invite him to their family dinner. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Great Aunt Venture is such a whiz bang episode. I like the episode's message of trying things out to see if it's good, and I enjoy it for influencing viewers to use their thinking caps. Plus, Sofia and Tilly make a wonderful team while journeying to the Arabella Apple Orchard. Plus, Aunt Tilly made a great character, and Bonnie Hunt does a sweet and whimsical performance. I give this episode a whiz bang 100%. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me next time where we look at an episode where the royal Enchantian family becomes a Baker family. Mustang Power.